There is a place that is rarely spoken of, a space between the dream and reality, between the prayer and the answer, a place that many call waiting, but which in the language of heaven has another name: workshop. If you are here, it's because you know that place, because you have asked for clarity, you have looked for a door, you have longed for a yes, as if asking for air, and in response, you only receive a heavy silence, and it hurts. Because the world doesn't stop, life keeps turning for everyone else. But you feel trapped in a time that has stopped. Allow me to share something with you that the noise of the world prevents you from hearing. Something I learned not in a book, but in the darkness of my own waiting periods. God hasn't put you on pause. He has put you in training. Think of the stories that have marked you, those you secretly admire, and that remind you that the impossible can happen. All of them, without exception, began like this: in the dim light of an empty gym, in the obsessive repetition of an artist in front of a canvas with no witnesses, in the broken heart that alone decides to beat again. What the world one day applauded was born when no one was looking. And with you, it's no different. This is not a stop on your path. It is not a dead end. It is the more secret workshop, where the version of you is being forged that is called to territories you don't even imagine today. It is here where character is polished, where faith ceases to be theory and becomes a backbone, where patience stops being a distant virtue and becomes a weapon. Your silence today is not emptiness. It is the sound of your transformation. It is the noise of the divine tools working deep within your being. Hidden signs in your waiting. In this silent workshop, there are signs. They are not like traffic signs, large, bright, impossible to ignore. They are like the heartbeat of the world, subtle, constant, only perceptible to those willing to listen with the eyes of the soul. The first sign, the silence that teaches you to listen. God does not shout, He whispers. And in an overstimulated world, full of opinions, news, and expectations, His voice can be drowned out. That's why, sometimes He Himself turns off the external noise, so that your spiritual ear may be sharpened, so you can learn to distinguish His tone of peace amid the chaos. This silence is not abandonment. It is an advanced classroom of listening. The second sign, the door that closes. And it hurts. I know. Because you put your hope on that path. You invested emotion, time, and faith in that possibility. And when it closes, you feel like something inside you breaks. But I want you to know this: a divine no is not a dead end. It is a purposeful redirection. It is a protection that your mind cannot yet comprehend. It is a save your strength, your faith, your hope, for the door that truly has your name written on it. The third sign, relationships that are rearranged. Some people came into your life for a season, others for the war. And it hurts when the bond you thought was eternal fades, when the conversation that flowed is now forced. But in the divine economy, nothing is accidental. God prunes what will not bear fruit, so that the eternal can breathe, grow, and flourish. It is not a senseless goodbye. It is a this far with purpose. If today you are seeing doors close or affections move away, stay put. It is not the end. The next message is woven with the broken threads of those who thought they had taken the wrong path and discovered that God writes straight with their crooked lines. When doubt strikes at midnight, there are days when the tiredness is not physical. It is of the soul, a weight that settles in your bones and an emptiness that is born in your spirit. And then it arrives. Doubt. Like an unwanted visitor who knocks on your door at midnight. It sits at the table of your mind and begins to whisper to you, what if this is all there is? What if you were wrong? What if he forgot about you? I want you to know something with absolute clarity. Tiredness is not synonymous with weakness. It is the evidence that you are in the battle, that you haven't given up, that you are still standing, even if it's with effort. And doubt is not your truth. It is just an echo, an attempt by the enemy to hijack your peace. When they arrive, when you feel like you can't go on, I want to give you 3 tools that saved me more than once. Rest without guilt. Rest is not surrender. It is divine strategy. It is allowing your body, soul, and spirit to reconnect with the source. There is no glory in exhaustion. The glory is in staying on your feet. And sometimes, staying on your feet requires sitting down, being silent, and resting. Confront the lie with the truth. Doubt says, God forgot about you. Truth says, your fingerprints are marked on his hands. Doubt says, you are not enough. Truth says, his grace is sufficient in your weakness. Don't ignore doubt. Confront it with the word, with the truth that transcends your feelings. Seek your tribe. Fighting alone is a trap. The enemy wants you to believe you are alone, that no one would understand your battle. But it's not true. Community is a trench. It is that place where others hold up your faith when yours falters, where a word, a prayer, and hug can be the oxygen you need to continue. Doubt is not the end of your faith. It is the beginning of your confidence. It is the moment when you decide to believe, even if you don't see, even if you don't feel, even if you don't understand. And if today you feel that the mental noise drowns everything out, that you can no longer distinguish between truth and fear, the next video is not more content. It is a map for silencing the storms and tuning into the only voice that can guide you to safe harbor. How to recognize the voice of God amidst the chaos. It is not a voice that competes. It is one that whispers, one that does not need to raise its tone because its essence is peace, is calm, is certainty. We live in an overstimulated world. Your ears are saturated with news, your eyes with screens, your mind with expectations, and your emotions with demands. Amidst this sensory battlefield, how do you distinguish the voice that matters? How do you know the right direction when all options seem valid? Allow me to share 3 keys with you that have been lighthouses in my own fog. Peace is the compass. If a decision takes away your peace, if it fills you with anxiety, pressure, or overwhelming stress, ask yourself if it comes from Him. God's voice brings calm, even in the middle of chaos. He does not promise an absence of problems, but He does promise the presence of peace in the heart. If what you feel crushes you, make room for doubt, but not the doubt that destroys, but the one that questions with wisdom. Confirmation, not just feeling. God does not play hide and seek with your destiny. He does not sow paths with traps. If something is from Him, it will align with His word, with the wisdom of your community, and with that internal yes that you cannot explain with words, but that resonates in the depths of your being. It's like tuning a frequency. The same melody must sound on different speakers. If there is static on any of them, wait. Confirm. His voice draws you closer. It doesn't isolate. This is a powerful filter, an infallible spiritual thermometer. If something you feel or hear pushes you away from your loved ones, fills you with pride, makes you feel superior, or locks you within yourself, that is not the frequency of heaven. God builds bridges, not walls. He propels you toward others, not toward your ego. You don't need to be a mystic, a theologian, or a super believer. You just need to be someone brave enough to be silent, to turn off the noise, and to listen. With humility, with an open heart, with faith. And that listening, that tuning in with the eternal, will sometimes lead you right into the center of the fire. Not for punishment, but for purification. We will talk about that next time. The fire that doesn't burn, it purifies. Trials are not detours on your path. They are the path. They are not interruptions in God's plan. They are part of the plan. For a long time, I believed that if I suffered, if I faced difficulties, it was because I had done something wrong. I thought that pain was a sign of deviation, of error, of divine abandonment. Until one day, in the middle of my own fire, I understood. The fire does not come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. Double asterisk. In trials, you discover who you are. You never know the strength within you until life places you in a spot where you have no choice but to resist, trust, and move forward. The strength you didn't know you had, the faith you thought was lost, the resilience that is only born in the furnace. All of this emerges when the heat intensifies. You discover yourself capable, sustained, and much stronger than you imagined. In trials, you let go of what is excess. Think about gold and fire. Fire does not destroy the precious metal. It burns the dross, the impurity, what diminishes its value. This is what difficulties are like in God's hands, a sacred fire that burns away the accessory to leave only the essential. Superficial relationships, false securities, fears that chain you, habits that weaken you. Everything that does not bear fruit, everything that does not build up, is consumed in the fire. And what remains is pure gold. It is what really matters. It is what is eternal. In trials, you gain compassion. Your pain will not be in vain. What hurts your soul today will tomorrow be the bridge by which another person crosses their valley. Your trial, your struggle, your process can become the testimony that restores hope to someone who believes there is no way out today. Your pain transforms into a channel of blessing, into a compassionate hug for the suffering, into a word of faith for the doubter. I no longer see trials as a punishment. I see them as God's advanced workshop, where what you were burns away, and what you will be begins to breathe. And in the middle of that fire, when the flames are highest and the heat is most intense, there are promises that do not burn, words that remain, anchors that hold. We will talk about those in the next message. Anchors in the storm. There are words that float, beautiful, inspiring, but they are carried away by the wind when the storm rages. And there are words that anchor, that have weight, that are deeply embedded in the soul and hold you when everything around you crumbles. God's promises are not cheap comfort. They are not positive phrases for gray days. They are anchors in the storm. They don't stop the wind. They don't calm the waves, but they prevent you from being shipwrecked. They keep you in place, firm, secure, until dawn breaks. When the medical diagnosis, the economic debt, or the emotional loneliness shout that everything ends here, that there is no way out, that it is the end, the promises whisper, this is not the end. You are not alone. There is purpose in your pain. There is a good ending for your story. How do you make these promises stop being distant verses and become real anchors in your life? I give you 4 keys. Find your anchor. Sit in silence. Ask yourself, what is keeping me up at night right now? Uncertainty, rejection, illness, scarcity? Now search the Word, the Psalms, the stories of faith, for a promise that speaks directly to that fear. If it's loneliness, your anchor might be, I will never leave you nor forsake you. If it's fear of the future, I know the plans I have for you, plans for good and not for disaster. Write it down, tape it to your mirror, save it as your phone screen background, turn it into your divine mantra. Declare it aloud against the lie. This might sound strange at first, but its power is transformative. Doubt feeds in silence. The lie grows in darkness. When the inner voice tells you that you can't, that you are not enough, that God forgot about you, declare the promise that is your truth out loud. It is an act of spiritual warfare. It is planting your flag in enemy territory and saying, no further. It is what keeps your heart calm when emotions are a raging sea. Share them to solidify them. Don't keep these heavenly jewels only to yourself. By sharing the promise that is sustaining you, you are not only throwing a life raft to someone who is drowning, but you are also driving your anchor down harder. Seeing how the same word of life resonates and helps another brother or sister makes your own faith in it turn to steel. Community doesn't just sustain you, it also strengthens your confidence in the promise. Remember your personal history of faithfulness. Sometimes, the best way to believe for the future is to remember the past. Remember. Think of a specific moment in your life when you felt like there was no way out, cornered, hopeless, and how, against all hope, God opened a path where there was none. That past rescue is tangible proof of future faithfulness. It is the evidence that promises are kept, even if their calendar sometimes doesn't align with our impatient clock. Understanding and living this has been one of the most liberating things for me. It has allowed me to walk with a peace that cannot be explained and a hope that is not extinguished. The promises do not eliminate the problem, but they give you the supernatural strength to go through it, to overcome it, to transform it into your own testimony. With this, we close this series. This community, this walking together, has been a gift. Remember, no matter what you see with your natural eyes today, no matter where you are at this moment, your story is not over. The best part is yet to come.
Que chamam com fé e ouve o clamor do seu coração.